Okay, let's wait for others to first join the class and then we can start. Otherwise, you are very welcome. Hi, Kezzy. How are you? Good to see you. Where you are from? They're not yet here. You're good. Good to hear. Good to hear that you're fine. That's good to hear. I am also very fine, and I hope you are ready for today's class. Are you okay? Is everything fine? Did you wake up well? Did you sleep well? Yeah? Okay. Good to see you. Today we're looking at the joy of seeing again. Okay. Let's wait a bit for others. Maybe you can go in Brenda's inbox. She's the one who usually takes a little bit longer. And maybe Mia. You were rewatching yesterday's class. Ah, okay. Why? Ah, how did it help you? That's nice. That's so nice to hear that you are rewatching it. That's nice. You are really very serious about this transformation process, and that's a very good thing. And these case studies really give you a practical overview of what actually happens in transformation. But good to see you. Good to see you. And for purposes of the recording, because this is left on YouTube, my name is Jacinta. This is Build Beyond You. And this channel is dedicated to those who are in the process of rediscovering your identities, going back to who am I? Why am I called? And what am I called to do? What is the solution that is in me to a particular problem that only I can solve? Because each and every one here has their own human blueprint. So, what is it that you're called to do? How do we overcome obstacles that hinder us from flourishing in our true identities? How do we nurture those innate abilities? How do we step into that true leadership authority that has been ordained for us? Okay, that this that in you, that like the lady with the oil in the hands. What did she have? She had oil. So when she went in and looked at herself, she managed to actually get to know who she was deeply, whose she was for, and how she could like, transform from having a very huge date, grief of her husband, two children being taken by the creditors, to actually complete transformation, inheritance, breakthrough. That's exactly what happens in the transformation process. And each and everybody has their own journey. So here we create our roadmaps and we navigate this pathway individually. But the lesson is general. It guides us from one step to the last. Okay? So you're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Hi, Casey. You woke up with mixed emotions, but you didn't allow the emotions to overpower. Yes. And it's happening a lot. You see, those mixed emotions, Casey, are targeting your joy, targeting your happiness. They want to provoke bitterness, anger. They want to provoke a side of you that's not you so that you can react. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of narcissists, but that's what they're very good at doing. But you know what? You have a lot of work to do to focus on that. That is irrelevant. You have to focus on transformation. You have to focus on why am I here? What am I doing? Okay? Where am I? Yesterday was yesterday. Today is a new day. And you command the morning and then you choose to say, what am I going to do today? How do I look at this differently? You know what? As long as you're a child of God, you will be energized for the day. And that's all you need. These resistances, the interferences, the interruptions, they will not stop. There's Sanballat and Tobias, they'll never stop. Okay, hi Grace. How are you? Good to see you. Good afternoon on my side and good morning on your side. Good to see you. Good to see you, Grace. Good to see you. I hope Mia and the rest are catching up. Kezzy, have you communicated with Mia, your twin? And Grace. Sim was the first yesterday. Lately, she was the first in class. Today, she's a bit late, right? Yeah, but just a recap of yesterday. I left you with an assignment. I don't know, did you carry out the assignment that I gave you? I left you with an assignment yesterday. Maybe you can be taking me through a little bit of what you did yesterday from the assignment that I gave you. Lesson 3, right? Let me just look it up here and see what I had asked you to do yesterday. Yesterday was lesson 3. Hmm. Hmm. Is assignment. What did I ask you to do? I asked you to identify one instruction that you know God has already placed before you, and it may be a conversation you need to have, a step of faith you need to take, an opportunity you need to pursue, a habit you need to change, or a door you need to walk through. Did you manage to actually carry out that assignment? One instruction that God has already placed on you. Yesterday's. Share. Grace. What is that? I feel like God has been telling me to be open and free and visible and remove fear. Good. You see, you actually don't even feel, you know. There's a knowing, yeah? A knowing that you like, you know. And that's exactly what he's trying to tell you. You see, the fact that you boldly and courageously entered that room, you're already now dealing with this fear. He instructs you, and then you realize that, oh, okay, I'm dealing with this. So that's like a confirmation. The step that you took, you see, you were bold and courageous. What is the opposite of fear? Bold and courageous. So you're bold and courageous to enter that room, and what are you dealing with? You're dealing with the fear. Mm? That's good. That's a very good thing. At least now you know you have at least one thing that God has placed on you to work on, and you are doing something about it. Okay? What about you, Kizzy? Anything that you feel like, or you know, that has been nudging you to do something about it? Mm? Anything that has been nudging you? Okay, as you think about it, today we're looking at the joy of seeing again. I hope Mia and the rest can actually join so that we go on. But I can just start because, in the interest of time and the fact that we have to, at least they'll catch up with the recording after. That's the beauty about the recording, right? So, the joy of seeing again, and we're looking from pain to testimony. Yesterday, we looked at, what did we look at yesterday? Trying to relate how this progressed from that to progressed from yesterday's lesson 3. Hmm? Can remind me what were we looking at yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we said pour, wash, and see. Obedience. Hi, Juliet. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you for coming. I don't know if you carried out the assessment. I asked you yesterday to get one instruction that you know God has already placed before you that you need to pay attention to. Could it be a conversation, an encounter, anything that God has placed on your heart that you needed to do. And it came from go, wash, see. Go, wash, and see. So today we move, now that when he said go, wash, and see, then he continued. The neighbors, therefore, and they which before had seen him that he was blind said, is not this that sat and begged on the streets? Is this not the man who sat there and was begging on the streets? And they were like shocked to see him, seeing, and I think his head was, of course, up high. And definitely, the moment he started seeing, he started doing what he was actually called to do. You have seen what, Juliet? So, I'm going to ask you one simple question. What is it that has been stealing your joy? What is it that has been stealing your joy? What have people known you for a very long time? You see, they knew him for being a blind man. What have people known you for a very long time? What is that struggle that has followed you for so many years? And what is that limitation that has become part of your identity? That, that one is like that. She's lost. She's mad. Like, you have been given names. You're the ones who give you names, eh? Are the ones who actually do things to ensure that that's the name that is branded on you. And then they even do a public announcement called slander. Yeah. But, and that's exactly what happened to Jesus Christ. The same people he healed, the same people he loved, the same people he preached to every single day rejected him, threw stones at him, spat at him, denied even understanding what he was saying. The same people that you love are the same ones that get a dagger and put it in your back. So you're not the first one that this has happened to. It happened to Samson, it happened to Solomon, it happened to everybody. As long as you're called by God, you will go through that level of rejection, through that level of pain, betrayal. But then it's for a purpose, right? And you look beyond it. How do you, that pain is what actually births the testimony. So what is that limitation that has become part of your identity? What is that has caused others to define you by your pain rather than your potential? And if it remains as potential, then it is your fault. Because it's not supposed to remain as potential. Yeah? Knowing where you come from. Okay? Thank you for sharing that. I have seen God's mercy on me because I was born from a very poor family, but has been so merciful. He has been so merciful to me. That is so nice. That is so nice. That is so good to hear. So, when we say the joy of seeing again, this man was blind. And we were actually very shocked that he's not the man who was sitting there who was blind. He was probably mocked, probably laughed at on a daily, ridiculed. And you see, today we're going to discover that what this transformation does, that it doesn't only make changes in specific areas, but your joy is restored from within. Everything else can be available, no problem. But when your joy inside is restored, your joy, that's the most important, because joy is what provokes the hand of God. Joy is what actually brings out the original version of yourself. But when that joy is sapped, when that joy is squashed, then everything else in you is going to be locked up. But joy, that's exactly what's going to bring out that is in you, that is still dormant and locked up. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that has been stealing my joy? And you'd rather focus on that in the transformation process. Your strong principles. Okay. Oh, sorry that your network is down. Mhm. What have people known you for? What struggle has followed you? What is that limitation that has become part of your identity? And people see you that way. Yeah. Let's go through yesterday's lesson a bit, just a little bit. We learned that transformation happens when instruction meets participation, right? The blind man, the widow, Naaman. And but the question is, what happens when the thing that defined you no longer defines you? What do I mean by that? Imagine the blind man received instruction, followed the instruction, and received sight. The widow received instruction, followed instruction, and received inheritance. Naaman received instruction, followed instruction, and received restoration from leprosy. What happens after transformation? That's why I want to encourage you. Whatever resistance you may be experiencing, for example, because you've said today you woke up when your emotions were a little bit scattered. These are the resistances you're going to get on a daily. Because at the end of the day, it's the transformation that we are looking at, the outcome of the transformation process that you have been experiencing. Yeah. When it comes to this gentleman, they were like, is it not this man that sat there and begged? Why did they make such a statement? Is he not the one who sat there and begged? You know why? Because that transformation cannot remain hidden. It cannot remain hidden. The moment you start transforming, remember, Casey, when your sister told you, there's a shift. The moment you start even if it's just one step, one step every day, it cannot remain hidden. The same people who watched him struggle now witnessed him walking in freedom. The same people who knew his condition now saw evidence of change. The same people. What has your community been accustomed to seeing in you? Fear, doubt, confusion, pain, any limitation? Now you imagine when that becomes the opposite, when you become bold. Can you hide that? Can you still hide that? Can that remain hidden? Anger issues and bitterness because I was so wounded and not ready to heal. Okay, but how are you now? Are you healing? You thought you were not doing it right. I almost decided to sleep the whole day. Sorry, dear. Sorry, dear, but don't allow that. Don't allow that. Hi, Brenda. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Hi, Mia. Good to see you. Oh, sorry that you're not feeling well. Sorry that you're not feeling well, guys. Sorry that you're not feeling well. Even in case you woke up with mixed emotions. Sorry. Sorry about that. But you'll be fine, guys. You have to be strong. I think these are the things that happen. Um, when you're going through different phases in life, I think you get these kind of interruptions, but you still have to push on. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for making it, even if you're not feeling well. It shows your commitment to, excuse me, the transformation process. But you know what? I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to encourage you. You need that joy. You need to pick it up from somewhere. Okay? So sit up straight. You'll be fine. Could this be part of? Yes, it's part of the. Yesterday you were also unwell. Um, I want to say something, but I can't. But because we're online, I cannot say it. I cannot say it. What happened to the TikTok account? I kept on saying for one whole month that we're going to shift to YouTube in this community. Okay. And I told you I was there for a very short time and I needed to shift to this particular account. This is better than the other side. It's not about the numbers, it's about who is being transformed. Okay, that's what we are looking at. That's why we're here. So we had to leave the TikTok account. Fear to be judged, and thank you very much, Kizzy. Yeah, we shifted, Mama. I like that. So, we need to understand very. You've been missing, not knowing you shifted. Sorry about that. But then I've been putting the artwork there every single day and writing a statement that we are on YouTube. You've missed a lot, but all the videos are recorded on YouTube, so you can find them if you want to go through them. Okay, don't worry, you've not missed so much. Sorry about that, Evelyn. So sorry about that. But you're going to catch up. Okay, you're going to catch up. And no, it's not a recap. I was just taking you through yesterday's, giving you like yesterday's, um, what we were talking about as a matter of progression. How does it connect to today's lesson? So I want us to understand what is the purpose of the pain. What do you mean is this today's lesson or recap? Today's lesson, didn't you see the title? Today's lesson. Let me show you today's lesson. Casey, why you want to confuse me? Today's lesson is the joy of seeing again. Lesson 4. Okay? And it's talking about, yesterday we said, go and see, right? Go, wash, and see. And then today we're continuing. When he went, after he left, what happened after? That's what we're talking about today. Okay? So we've looked at the joy, the pain. Let me give you a recap for those ones who have just come, like Brenda, Mia, and Evelyn. Yeah. When today's lesson, I want you to ask yourself, where am I right now and where do I want to be? Okay. What has been stealing your joy? If you know what exactly has been stealing your joy, then you're going to go back and get it. Okay. What have people known you for? What have people known you for? Even if they still know that about you today, that should be your driving force. Okay? What struggle has followed you for years? You want to change that narrative by getting hold onto this transformation process and saying, you know what? This is the struggle that has followed me for years, but it ends today. I'm going to change this narrative about me. Then you're going to ask yourself, what limitation has become part of your identity? This is what you are now known for, when it actually isn't your identity. Because remember, the enemy targets your identity. That's why he brings so many people to betray you so that he can put wounds on your heart, brings so many people to hurt you. Like, I don't know, like just collects the wrong personalities around you, especially when you are a called child of God. When you're a visionary, when you're a steward, when you're a leader, a lot is going to come to you, both positive and negative. And I think we've talked about this for a very long time, right? So that comes, it comes for your identity. And before you know it, that limitation becomes part of your identity. You're known for who you are not. When it was a structure that was built very clearly, like a mind-bending operation to bend the minds of people to think of you this way when you are actually not that way at all. Who changes the narrative? God changes this narrative for you by giving you instructions. Do this, do that, do that. Counter the structure that was built against you by following his instructions, by following his lead. What has caused others to define you by your pain rather than your potential? That's one thing you should ask yourself. Okay? And yesterday, we were looking at, we saw that transformation happens when instruction meets participation. So you see, he was told, go, he went. Wash, he washed in the water. After he was seeing, then he told him, go. And but it was for a purpose. But only him, remember, received that code. Why was he blind? And now why is he seeing? What is he going to do out there? And he started immediately, right? So was the widow, so was Naaman. Okay? But then the question is, what happens when the thing that defined you no longer defines you? That's what should motivate you. That you're not going to remain in that position that you're feeling right now. Like yesterday you were unwell and all. Today is another different day. Tomorrow is another different day. Every single day comes with its challenges. But you must be able to gather the energy no matter what. No matter what. So you see, when he told him, go, wash, see, that means his eyes were opened. But that's physical. What about the spiritual eyes? We're going to get to that. Yeah. So they asked, is this not the man that was begging? Just imagine what happens when God transforms that very area where people have said maybe you are not confident, you used to fear, maybe you are a people pleaser, you know, and maybe people have marked you that you're broke, you're empty-headed, you're a waste. They've given you all sorts of names that have completely ruined you. So this is where we are. What is the purpose of the pain? If you understand the purpose of the pain, if you understand the purpose of this pain, that is when you're going to win. You see, this blind man had never been blind. Sorry. This blind man was blind and now he can see. If he was not blind, would there be a testimony? Would there be a demonstration of God's works through this man? Would he have been a theater for what God can do for somebody? Would the other people who were there waiting for him to encourage them, would they have moved to there? Maybe the reason as to why he was blind was because there are so many destinies that were attached to him. And him being blind, so many destinies were locked up. Him seeing, there's so many things that his eyes were supposed to see. His eyes was the purpose. Maybe he was a seer. Yeah? What was, maybe his eyes were supposed to receive a very, very serious vision. And that's why he was blind. But then he started seeing. And not only did he get the testimony, but he was going to fulfill the purpose for which those eyes were closed, that was being hindered. If the widow had not faced debt, there would be no inheritance story. If she had her two sons were not being taken by the creditors, that story would not be there. If Naaman had not suffered that leprosy, there would be no restoration story. So everything that happens in our lives, the pain is not your destination. That pain is only part of the process. And what does that challenge reveal? It reveals purpose. All these people that we're talking about, even including ourselves, the limitations that we experience every single day reveal solutions. And you know what? That is the same platform that God uses. And he doesn't share his glory. No one is supposed to say, I did this, I contributed. No. It is his glory alone. So he will make sure he removes everything that wants to exalt itself above him, that wants to attach itself to that glory, that wants to say it contributed something to it. So when you're going through the pains of people left me, people rejected, he is taking away anything that is not supposed to go with you. So when you drag, you will be delayed. You will be delayed. Because that platform is for God's glory that he wants to create for you, whether it is a job, whether it is a business, whatever it is for his glory. So there's a purpose why you are going through this pain, right? And you see, when you go through the process of transformation, it restores joy. It restores joy. You see, this transformation, it's not that we're going through this process so that we can build inwardly, then we go out there and build for everybody else and everybody else benefits. No. You see, so many people lose joy before they lose anything else. The moment joy walks out of the house. And let me tell you something, be wary of anybody who targets your joy. You have to be able to discern. You have to be able to discern people who target your happiness, people who target your joy. You see how they target? The enemy often attacks your identity. He attacks your confidence. He attacks your hope. He attacks your purpose. He attacks your courage. He attacks your joy. Why? Because that's what gives you strength. That's what pushes you. So what he does, he comes for your relationships. Anybody who is going to add any value to you, he comes for them. He taints your image, your reputation, just so that he can get to that joy and break you. That's the purpose. It's to break you. It's to break your spirit. You go to work, you go in an environment, and it's just betrayal left, right, and center. Break you. And the moment joy steps out of the house, everything else dies. And that's the target. So he'll frustrate everything around you just so that he can squeeze your heart and wound it. And then before you know it, your soul has so many fragments like that in different places, because this one came and took a part of you. This one came and took a part of you. This one came and took a part of you. This one came and took a part of you. But transformation, what we are going through, every day when you wake up, like you were slept when you were unwell. But today I want you to gain back that energy and that strength. And remember, whatever I am feeling right now is targeting what is ahead of me. You have the ability to smile and say, this is a new day. No matter what I am experiencing, I choose to be joyful. Praise and worship. Because the weight just takes away that heaviness and depression that wants to come and sit on you. They are atmosphere shifters. There are people who come into your atmosphere and bring life. There are people who come to people's atmosphere and they just suck everything out. And that's what you should be weary of. Weary of anything that wants to target. Yes, you wake up in the morning and you say, no matter what I'm experiencing, because whatever I am experiencing is targeting my identity, is targeting my voice. It wants to silence me. And when I keep quiet, how many destinies are going to be affected by my silence? The ones that I am called to. Because you're not called to everybody. And it's minority versus majority. And the minority may seem powerful. But what does Psalm 92 say? Even if the wicked flourish, it is that they may be destroyed. So they can gang up on you and want to eat you up. But what is it that is threatening them so much? And you can find that you're poor, you have nothing, but they're still coming up. Because there's that thing in you. No one has authority over that. But you can put out the fire yourself. If you allow external factors, I don't have money for this, I don't have this, I don't have this, this is not going well, this, that is an attack on your identity. That is an attack on your confidence, your hope, you've been pushing, and now your strength is being sapped. But this joy, the joy is what gives you strength. The joy is what gives you endurance. The joy is what keeps us moving, even when circumstances suggest we should stop. Don't lose your joy. Find a way of getting your joy no matter what. You see, this blind man did not just merely receive sight, like, okay, now he can see. He recovered something deeper. Like I said, he could have been a seer, he could have been having a very, very huge vision for something, for the kingdom, that was being hindered. And he was the only one who could see it. He's the only one with the antidote to. So he recovered the ability to experience life differently. He was blind and he was held down. He could do nothing. His eyes tied, his hands, his feet, his body, everything. He was practically useless. And that's what happens. There's a lot of manipulation that goes on when you see your emotions. Yeah? There's a lot of manipulation that goes on, and it kind of like pushes spiritual dullness, spiritual blindness, deafening your ears, so that you don't hear from God, so that you don't see, so dimming your light. The people who are supposed to see you do not see you because someone is busy manipulating. That's why we have to pray and experience life differently, like the blind man. Yeah, but Juliet, you can take it back. Yes, they did, and that was then, but now they can't take it like fully unless you permit it. Unless you permit it. When you hear people's stories, that's what you say, I thought I was really doing badly. So don't allow your joy to be taken away from you. Don't. You see, this gentleman was they were asking me, where is this guy? But where is it was until the man that was seated there was, no, I think he's different. And they kept on going back and forth. No, I think he's different. No, I think no, he's not the one. And then he said, I am he. I am he. The same man, the same person, totally different, transformed, as you can see in the picture. Totally transformed. He was no longer speaking from blindness. He was no longer speaking from blindness. He was a totally different man. He was speaking from experience. He was speaking from evidence. He was speaking from transformation. That is something no one can take away from you when you choose to take that journey. And that is exactly what happens when God restores what was hidden beneath years of pain. Whatever you have gone through all these years, whether they are 20, whether they are 25, whether they are 15, whether they are 10, when it is time for God to say, no man, nothing in this world can resist an appointed time by God. Nothing. No one should scare you. It is you who will sabotage yourself by hearing and listening to what you don't need to listen to. Because their job, you see, when we all have different purposes. For you now, you own the purpose of transformation, right? Another person's purpose is to distract you, destroy you. There are people whose purpose is to go, they carry an atmosphere of pain. When they go into a place, theirs is to drop pain. For you, when you go in an atmosphere, yours is to bring joy, happiness. And it won't be obvious, it won't be written on them. So camouflage. And then they'll make you look like you're the one who brings pain. You who is good, because they deflect. Now that is what affects you, and then you silence them. And then you start also thinking, I think, who told you? Who told you? You have to guard your ears, guard your eyes, guard yourself, because those noises are going to be louder. And like I said, they come from minority, but they're louder. So you have to allow the true person to emerge. You have to wake up every single morning. It's a choice. Juliet, I understand you very well. And that's the reason as to why Paul said, I dust my feet off. Okay? You have to make a choice sometimes for you, not for anybody else. Now, let me show you the human blueprint connection with from pain to testimony, today's lesson. I want to just show you evidence, the pathway, and you will see yourself, where am I in this pathway? Because this is to encourage you not to give up. Okay? Continue with this journey. Whatever it is that you're doing, continue going on with the encounters, continue, pressing on, pressing on, pressing on. Yeah? You see, when you look at here, when he encountered, transformation begins when someone sees what others overlook. Before the blind man could see, Jesus saw him, right? Before he saw Jesus, Jesus saw him. And then what happened? Exposure. His blindness was revealed. Yeah? The limitation was identified. And what was hidden became visible. And that's what I need you to be very patient, that all these steps take time, despite the fact that this was one incident. Now, when it comes to the revelation, yeah, the instruction was released. Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. For you to receive this instruction, you must abide. You must have a relationship with God. You must yield yourself and wait for the instruction. Be obedient, be patient, be prayerful. Because that's when you're going to get clarity. Like the examples that you've been giving in all the, when we come and do a recap, every time you've been giving something, you've been giving, this is exactly what you've been doing. You've been receiving revelation. Why? Because you are committed. That's why you're receiving revelation. That's why you're having encounters now. What happened is clarity was given for the next step when he was told, go to the pool. Then after he said, okay, what do I do next? If he had not participated, you see how it requires participation? Your responsibility is to do, not to just sit and wait. Every instruction demands a response from you. But then what do you do with this response? For him, he went and washed. Okay? He went, move, move. This word went, the wenting can be requiring this, that. Okay, now you said go. What do I need to do when you said go? But and faith is what becomes the action. Obedience is what moved him forward. Like he obeyed, then he moved. Even when he did not know what's going to happen there, but he moved. And then when it comes to refinement, this is what produces change. You remember when he bent down and started washing his eyes? Now, for you, what is it that is going to go on? Washing is cleansing, taking off everything. You're going to go through a lot of resistance. You're going to go through the fires. You're going to go through a lot of cleansing. You will need to consecrate. You need to separate yourself. If you've already done that, well and good. But that is when healing occurs. And it occurs through your obedience. And transformation is going to happen during the journey. Every step you take, just know your obedience is transformation. Tick. Your obedience is transformation. Tick. And what will transformation produce? Purpose. Your purpose will become visible not only to you but to everybody else, because it's not for you, it's for the people that you sent to. People will notice, you know, just like the town noticed for him. And they began asking questions. Isn't this the man who used to sit there? Ah, it's the man who used to sit there. So, what was that limitation that was placed on your identity? Is it that the woman who was? Is it that the? Is it that? You need to get to that point where they ask those questions. And you're like, yes, I am the one. I am the one. There's nothing as beautiful as that. Nothing can beat that because it has impact. It doesn't remain with you. When he went, washed, he received sight. What happened? His story became proof of God's work. What exactly was his sight supposed to do? What was the vision that he had? What was the purpose behind his blindness? There was work that he was supposed to do. There was purpose. So, if you're going through pain, whatever it is, whether blindness, whether it's dependence, whether it is being overlooked, whether it is poverty, whether it is betrayal, whether it is scarcity, whether it's limitations here, whether it is rejection, whether it is near success syndrome, whether it is disappointments, whether it is this, whatever it is, sicknesses and diseases, whatever it is, the relationships that are dead, whatever it is that you're going through, that's not the end of the road. You can move in faith, you can obey the process, you can take the step, you can receive the outcome, but you have to participate. It is in the walking in that pathway, it is in the acting, like washing, acting, doing. It is in the walking that distance, whatever distance it has to take. Move from here, okay. Move from there, okay. Move from there. It is that walking. And no one said that it's going to be free of resistance. It's going to have resistance. And then before you now you have a clear vision because the outcome will be there. You'll have sight, you'll have purpose, evidence. So there's one question that every transformed person will hear. How were thine eyes opened? How were your eyes opened? How did you end up opening up that business? These are the questions you'll be asked. Thank you, Brenda, for sharing this. It is a mask. If you remove the mask, there's joy behind something. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much, Brenda, for sharing that. Hmm? So, that question is, how did this happen? You see, no one will ask this question unless something has actually occurred, like transformation. When God changes your life, people will notice. People will ask questions. They'll become very curious. They want to understand. Because your transformation becomes a living testimony. So I want to encourage you. If you woke up on another side of the bed, it's part of it. The greatest testament or testimony or whatever it is that you ever have to say in life is who you have become, who you were, and who you became. Because when someone can visit the sea or hear or see a problem and a solution, that is what makes you different from everybody. And I'm like, I ask, what is your story? What is that story of yours that is in the making? For him, he went, he washed, and he received sight. And what the enemy had intended to destroy became the very thing that God used to reveal his power. By any chance, are you a theater? God's power. did he do? He simply told his story. That was his testimony. The pain became his story. You see, I was going through this, and I did this, then I did this, You probably have a line of businesses that you're doing, and someone asks, but how did you? Then you tell them the side of the pain. How all these were birthed from the pain. I'm sure you've heard of those stories. The struggle is your evidence. Those are your scars. Those are your receipts. No one should lie to you. Because the process that you go through is the proof that you transformed from this point to this point. Whatever the enemy intends for evil in your life, if you allow your joy to be swallowed up and you cover yourself in that bed sheet like, nothing to do, too stressed, that will be your portion. No, you have no one to blame. No one. You have made the choice. You see, even a mother goes through these experiences of labor pains, yeah, before they give birth. That pain that you go through before you give birth, if you've given birth before. But you see, that pain is not the purpose. The pain is preparing you for the arrival of something. So, whatever it is that you have been experiencing, whatever it is that you've been experiencing, all those challenges that you have been experiencing, they are preparing you for something that is greater. Just like the blind man washed his eyes and he could see. But the pain that he went through not seeing, people passing by throwing at him even rubbish, peels of bananas, he's there on the street begging. Because the enemy will fight what is being birthed. But if you continue with this journey, your purpose will eventually emerge. But if you back down, because these discouragements are going to come, they are going to come, guys, and I don't want you to give up. If you continue with the journey, your testimony is going to arrive. And before you know it, you'll be so joyful. No one can take that away from you. Even now, it's like I said, you can have your joy. The one thing for sure is that people may know your history, but transformation will introduce them to your future. They'll see like, hey, okay. The moment you make a decision to go through this transformation process and not give up, what happened to you will be part of your story. It's part of your story, but it's not who you are. It's no longer a limitation that is attached to your identity. It's not the end of your story. You are a totally different person. And that's what gets you into rooms, gets you into environments with healthy people, gets you into, gives you access to this and that. So let's go to the reflection questions. What has been stealing your joy? What is it that has been stealing your joy? No, Juliet, don't give up on them. The one thing I should tell you, even yesterday, I think I told you the same thing. First, put them aside, detach yourself, then focus on your work. Okay? After that, this is how you can help other people. Focus on your work, and God will give you an instruction on what exactly you need to do. Okay? First, detach. God will give you an instruction. Because if you drag even that mindset along with you, you're going to fail doing your work. That is what is going to steal your joy. So you should be the one to first write here what is stealing your joy. Your thoughts are stealing your joy. Mia, you said comparison. Don't compare. Now start focusing on yourself. Put in the work, the things that I'm telling you, put in the work. You will find yourself not comparing at all. You see, things like financial pressure and debt can steal your joy. They can steal your joy. Comparing yourself to others, like you said, especially on social media. And forgiveness towards someone who hurt you. I'm telling you, the one thing is you should forgive. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for the other people. Do it for yourself. Forgive. Another thing that can steal your joy is maybe a job. It can drain you emotionally. But then now that is when you need to be proactive and say, what can I do so that I don't have my joy stolen from me because of this job that is stealing my joy emotionally? Before you know it, that answer, you will have that answer to that question. Fear of failure can prevent you from moving forward. If you fear failure, you will never move forward in life. Because it is in these mistakes that we actually get the lessons, and those lessons is what pushes us to the next level. That's why people grow. That's why people evolve from one level to the next, because they appreciate and embrace failure when it comes, and then they sit down and learn the mistakes. You can't compare yourself to that person who embraces failure and does something about it and gets back up. A righteous man falls down how many times? But then he still gets up. He still does what? Gets up. So don't fear failing. Don't fear failing. Don't fear making mistakes. Don't. Like the mistake now, you feel like you've been dragging them along with you. That's a mistake. Acknowledge it, then detach. Be very practical and very proactive and say, you know what, now I need to detach for some time and I'm doing it for them. I also need to be healthy enough to find an approach of how to help them after first detaching them. Okay? Also, grieving the joy of like the loss of somebody can steal your joy. Like you see the widow, that can also steal your joy. But then what do you do? The reason that's why I'm giving you these case studies is to show that yes, she had grief, but now she had a date, and then her two sons were being taken, so she had to pause the grief, and then maybe she was grieving while she was doing the oil and everything. Somehow, it brought healing. Not that she covered it up, because then it will result to trauma, but she probably put it there on the floor where they were trading from in the room. And before you know it, responsibilities are stealing my joy, especially when I cannot afford what is needed. Yeah, that's very understandable. But then now I need you to focus on, okay, this is stealing my joy. Write it down. Why is it stealing my joy? What exactly can I do about it? Then you sit down with your accountability partner if you can, right? And see, you brainstorm here and there. Don't try to deal with it alone. Okay? Sit down with your accountability partner. If you don't have, you need to get one. You need to speak to me, inbox me. Sit down, and two heads are better than one, but don't allow anything to steal your joy. And then also, the suffering can be there a bit, which steals your joy, yeah. But you also need to remember that weeping may endure for the night, when joy comes in the morning. Those are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivered them from them all. You're not going to remain like that. So some of these things, especially when you give yourself to the word, you'll find yourself, your mindset will start thinking about things differently. Your perception of things changes. Do you find yourself feeling stuck when others are busy progressing? Then you start comparing. Some of these things you need to cast down those imaginations and exalt themselves against the knowledge of God, because we are not the same. You may be running ahead of me, but when you're running without impact, and I may be left behind, and I'm coming, but I'm coming so strongly with impact that even when I am long gone, my name is not going to be forgotten, because that is one of my goals. Do you understand? But for you, one of your goals may not even be anything like mine. So here I need to, is your joy being stolen by circumstances? Or have you allowed circumstances to become bigger than God's promise in your life? What did God promise you? Why are you allowing? these circumstances to steal your joy? Why don't you sit down and write down the circumstance and then break it down to, now what do I need to do? That is more proactive. Okay? Comparison was stealing my joy last year until I came across someone I was comparing myself with, and honestly, I was doing better than the person. I learned that I don't need to be like anyone. I have my own path and I am unique, but in my own way. Exactly. Now you see, that is you changing your mindset about things and your perception, and then you start looking at yourself. How can I nurture my innate abilities, make them even better? And oh, how can I overcome this and that and that? Then how can I come up with a solution here and there? You see, it's clearly sometimes it's identity misalignment. Okay. So question 2: what struggle has defined you for too long? For example, have you always been shy? Maybe have you felt like you're not just good enough? I mean, I'm trying this, it fails. I'm trying that, it fails. So let me tell you something. Every time I kept on failing, I reached a point and I stood and I said, God, tired. What is it that I need to know? So, do you know the instruction that followed when I said I was tired? He said, walk away from everything. Total opposite. Like, what do you mean walk away? And then what will I do? Just walk away from everything. That instruction, and I'll show you. He did not say, and I'll show you. But he was like, walk away from everything. And then he waited for the obedience. I did. But I don't regret it. Because it did not only save me, but generations to come. It was not about me alone. But I asked the right question that provoked, okay, it is time. She has finally asked. And God will wait for you to get to that point of exhaustion. She has finally asked. And when you get down to the reason as to why, you're like, what? And then you find you are blaming yourself, and something is totally different. But because you asked the right question that required the right answer. So sometimes when you are told, go, go. First, it is obedience. Don't wait to get the explanation of everything. Quit anyone who tries to tell you, the problem with this, your things are confusing. Quit anybody who discourages you. Those voices, you need to shut them up. Because you need to move. The transformation process that you're going to be going through requires your obedience, your commitment. You don't need to know everything, but you need to move. Because even when the baby is growing in the stomach, you don't know what is going on in there, but you just hear kicks. Then you hear kicks. But you don't know what's going on there. Maybe just because we read about it. That, okay, this month, I don't remember that site, but okay, this month, yeah, this is what is happening. So, to the formation of the baby, maybe month 3, month 4, this sort of, you understand? Mm-hmm. My own path, and okay, people pleasing was stealing my joy. Okay, good enough, you've acknowledged it. I feel like I'm poor in communicating. Okay, you're working on it. That's good. Lack of confidence, that is what is stealing your joy. Okay, now you know. Now you know that when you write it down, then you start. What do I need to do? How do I need to get my confidence back? Okay, that is the most important, is for you to be proactive about your response to your findings. So question 2 was, what struggle has defined you for too long? Maybe you've always been shy. Maybe you feel like you've not been good enough. Maybe you feel like you're not successful. Maybe you're always rejected. Maybe you're always disappointed with this and that. Maybe you're divorced and you feel like, ah, God. Maybe you've been struggling financially. Maybe you're the one who, whenever something finishes, like a problem was here, then another one pops up. Problem was here, then another one pops up. Maybe you never finish what you start. Now you need to sit down. Now you need to sit down and say, I say, this comes to an end. Then you write it down. This comes to an end. This comes to an end. This comes to an end. Now that you've said this comes to an end, good. Let's start the job, the journey. Don't question what are you doing now. No, do. The end will tell you. What are you doing with the other thing? Okay, sticks. Next, and the journey will become nice. Yes, it will have hills and valleys, but that's how it is. As long as you're getting your questions answered. Have you allowed your struggle to become your identity? Don't allow your struggle to become your identity. Okay? Question 3. What potential has remained hidden beneath your pain? It's not even your pain, beneath that pain. They are not your weaknesses. Those weaknesses that keep manifesting through me, they are not mine, and I'm not going to romance with them. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to confront this, that. It's not mine. It cannot define me. So whoever wants to stick that mark on your forehead and say you are this is your identity, don't allow it. Sit down and ask the right questions, and you'll get the right answers. You'll get the structures and the systems to counter. No one else gives them to you. It is only God who gives you that. Are you a person who is hacked by relationships? But you're actually very gifted in counseling others. But the thing that hurts you the most, relationships. Do you know what is happening? What is happening is the enemy will make sure that he takes away everyone who is good. How? By bringing everyone who is not good, so that they can hurt you, and then you can react the opposite way of who you're supposed to react. And this is the picture that's going to be given to the healthy people, then the healthy people will go. Are you seeing how the structure is built? Very well calculated. The ones that are sent to destroy you provoke the worst out of you, but that is not you. But they push you and push you just so that they can grab you. And then before you know it, you messed up. But it's not too late. You see, when you know the truth, it sets you free. But every time you remain ignorant, more structures are built. More structure, like it's just a compounding factor. If these were the structures that were built on you and they managed to gain, control over you properly here, another one is going to be formed. And it's going to sit on top of this one. Now, you have to bring down all these ones slowly. So what is that potential that remains hidden beneath that pain? Are you a former addict? But now you realize okay, former addicts or addicts, if you look at them properly, they are actually people who help others to find freedom. They have that. They have that in them. Those ones, they help others to find freedom. So what the enemy does, make them addicted. Because if that one is fine, he's going to help others find freedom. But when it comes to poverty, you could be gifted with business acumen. You could be gifted with somebody who is very creative, like you could be gifted with creativity, innovation, and you're supposed to employ, like, let's say 2,000 people. Those are 2,000 homes that you're feeding. You could be gifted with wealth creation, and then the enemy decides poverty will be your portion. Don't allow her to access. But when you come out of that system, hmm, you come out of that system, now you go this side. Let's work. That will not be your story anymore. Anymore. What if I don't understand? What I don't understand is why people come for financial support when I'm struggling myself. Eh, because they see wealth creation in you. They're trying to smoke it out of you. You better ask the right questions. Why are they coming to you? Ah, now I need to say, God, what is it that they see in me that I'm not seeing? Please tell me. Then you start seeing. Now those questions are going to be answered very well because now you're asking the right questions. They're coming to you because they are seeing wealth creation. They are seeing businesses, but they are seeing potentials locked. And it needs to be unlocked. And that's why you're here. If you're a person who has suffered rejection, you'll realize that you have very good leadership abilities. So the enemy will make sure that you are rejected so much so that you never have those leadership abilities activated. You need to understand the things the way they are, the truth versus what is physically displayed. So don't judge people when they are going through things. If you now see it the way I see it with a totally different perception, you can tell the person, by the way, this is this, that, like, let's say you find someone who has suffered a lot of rejection. By the way, you have the best leadership skills. If you can come out of that, crawl out of that, and activate this, that is all they need to hear. That is all they need to hear. Then you leave them. You've planted the seed, you've set it in motion. For example, a widow who discovers they are like the husband, like the widow that who was grieving her husband, and her two sons were being taken. Then she locks herself in the neural abilities. How? Through hardship. If she had not gone through the hardship, she was still a housewife enjoying her time. But it was through hardship that she found out that she had entrepreneurial abilities. Do you know the people who suffer depression are the ones who actually carry a message of hope? If they come out of depression like this and you hear them speak, your depression can go away immediately. Because that's exactly what was targeted. They carry a message of hope. People who have healing abilities, they're the ones who experience the most attacks on their health. So you need to ask yourself the right question. What is my pain hiding? What is that gift that is hidden that God wants to reveal to me? Those are the right questions you should ask. Question 4. What evidence of transformation can you already see in your life? There must be something visible. And all of you have been talking about this, that, and it's a very good thing. Are you now reacting differently to things that used to trigger you? Because most of you keep saying, I now respond, I don't react. This used to trigger me, now I react differently. Maturity, good. That's good. Do you still hold grudges or you no longer hold grudges the way you used to? That's evidence of transformation. Are you more confident now than a year ago? You may not be there where you want to be, but at least are you seeing something? Do you pray more and worry less? Because when you start worrying and worrying and worrying, for your hope deferred makes the heart sick. You'd rather pray. Do you have now healthier relationships? You'd rather have one or two than have 10, 20. Have you become more disciplined? All this is evidence. You must see evidence of transformation. Whatever we do here, it has to have an impact. There has to be outcome. So you need to start noticing. I think I've become more disciplined. I think I'm making decisions from wisdom and not making my decisions from emotions anymore. The moment you start seeing that, then at least now you're patting yourself on the back, you're moving. It's going to give you courage. But if you don't make these assessments in between the journey, it's easier for you to give up. But every time you assess yourself as you go on in the journey, you will push, you will push, you will push, and you will not give birth prematurely. Because then you remain aligned. You're no longer aggressive. You also enjoy your own company out of social media. That's nice. You no longer follow gossip trend, guys. That's nice. That's nice, Casey. Hmm? So ask yourself what has changed in you that you have overlooked. Because if you don't keep these assessments, you'll drop off quickly. And mine is to encourage you. Kindly, kindly, kindly. Check those areas that you have overlooked. Whatever it is that you have been focusing on that hasn't yet changed, first way to focus on what have I achieved? I may look like this now, but what have I achieved? The moment you start looking at what you've achieved, your mindset will be different. You'll be happier. You say, I mean, that may not have changed, that this has changed. And that should motivate you. So, question 5, what testimony is God building through your current challenges? Is it financial struggles? Your financial struggles may become a testimony for God's provision. Have you ever imagined that? Your health challenges may be a testimony for healing that is coming up. Or you may even have healing abilities. But then that was what was attacked. Whatever setback you're having, maybe in business or whatever work that you're doing, it could be a testimony. Brenda, you remember when you talked about resilience? Maybe resilience and innovation are being birthed. Have you been in a season of loneliness? Maybe it's an opportunity for you to discover your identity in God. In that loneliness, people have abandoned you. Okay, fine. Maybe focus on let me rediscover my identity instead of paying attention to loneliness, being idle. When it becomes idle, it's there was workshop. Hmm? So, if you're a leader and you're experiencing challenges, the challenges may be pushing you to growth, to maturity, just like Casey has said. Pardon to what? To Casey or to a season of loneliness? A season of loneliness is an opportunity for you to sit down and go through the rediscovery of your identity. Find out your identity in God's sight. Go through. They left, okay, let me fix my eyes on something else. Try to love yourself so that you can prepare yourself for better relationships. So if this whatever challenge you may be experiencing, if you're experiencing financial struggles, if they ended today, what is that lesson that you will have learned from it? If there are no lessons that you're picking from the process, then the transformation is a waste of time. So whatever challenge you may be going through, there must be lessons that you are learning from the challenge. There must be solutions that you are developing from the challenges that you're experiencing. So question 6, are you focusing more on the pain or on what is being bathed through the pain? Are you focusing more on the pain or what is being bathed through the pain? When you focus on pain, you ask yourself, like, why is this happening to me? This is not fair. I can't do this anymore. I think we've all been through this time. I can't be through this. Nothing is changing. That is pain focused. But when you focus on purpose, you start asking, what is God teaching me here? What is God teaching me through this pain? Why am I going through this pain? Why am I experiencing this pain? God, tell me, why am I experiencing this pain continuously? You are the solution to it. There's something that is going to just put on you for that you enduring it and not giving up. You've endured that pain. Maybe someone has tormented you, oppressed you continually, thinking that they're going to break your spirit. Then God just wakes up in the morning and says, my daughter, I have anointed you with the breaker's anointing. And before you know it, they're like, why did I torment them? Now you, like, why did they crucify him? Oh, he saved the whole world. You see? So you allow them to torment you, oppress you, and think that they're breaking your spirit. What is God teaching you? What is this preparing you for? What strength is being developed? What strength is being developed? You see, when Joseph was in prison for all that time, you see the solution he came out with? That was strength that was being developed. So you should be dancing and say, pain, it's okay. Pain me. But when I start paining you also, when by healing the people that have been going through the same exact thing, through my teachings, through this, I'm just giving an example. I want to encourage you. Who are you becoming through this process of transformation? So if you woke up in the morning with emotions, I want you to walk away from this class asking yourself this question: am I starting? Am I staring? Okay, no, not starting. Let me say, am I staring at the labor pains, or am I anticipating the birth of what God has been producing through me for such a very long time? What am I going to stare at? The labor pains, or what God is producing through me? But it's painful, mommy. I'm in that situation right now. Yes. And I totally understand. But I can assure you, if you focus on that pain, you're not going to move forward. You're going to remain there. You delay yourself. You sabotage yourself. I need you to understand the difference between pain focused and purpose focused. When you focus on the pain, you're going to keep there. Why is this happening to me? Then the next day you come in. Why is you see, nothing's changing? Just why is this happening to me? Then the next day, why is this happening to me? Wake up in the morning with a pen and paper. Yes, why is this pain happening to me? What are you teaching me? What are you preparing me for? What is the strength that is being developed in you, by the way? Because like I said earlier, when pain comes to you, it's attacking your confidence, it's attacking your identity, it's attacking your innate abilities, your essence, it's attacking your identity, your whatever pain that you may be experiencing, it may be attacking your testimony, because your testimony may be a very powerful testimony that's going to change so many lives. So the way pain has a purpose, and birth's purpose. Purpose is going to help so many other people who are still in the same pain. You're going to go back You are more calm, intentional, and focusing more on action. Yes, that's good, Brenda. That is good. Juliet, you're becoming more responsible. That is good. That's good. That is good. That is very good. I'm very happy with that statement. Hmm? You see, as I finish these reflection questions, you realize that I don't give you the how to steps because we're dealing with case studies now of the transformation process. Okay. So the blind man could have focused on the years that he spent blind. Instead, what he decided to do, his story became about the day I received the sight, you people. That's what his story became about. And the widow, okay, let's give an example of the widow. She could have focused on the day, on the date. She could have focused on you kids even go and work, then you even pay the debt. She could have focused on grieving. As well. Then what it has to become. It became a story of generational continuity. It became a story of sustainability of what was developed behind closed doors. It became a story of, you understand? So the question is, will your story be about the pain you experienced or the purpose that was born from it? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Now I want to conclude. Hmm? I want to conclude about today's session. Hmm? Unless anybody has something to say, I want to conclude so that we can prepare ourselves for tomorrow. So, in conclusion, the neighbors saw a blind man. What did Jesus see? A testimony. What did the neighbors see? Limitation. What did Jesus see? Transformation. Now, when it came to what do we remember? The neighbors will remember who he was on the street in a beggarly form, blind, couldn't see. Everything was in beggarly format. His eyes in beggarly format, his hands in beggarly format, his body beggarly format. He was seated begging all through. Everything was at a standstill. That's what they could remember. But you see, when he discovered his sight, when he discovered who he was, because the moment he discovered his sight, he discovered who he was. And when he was asked what happened, it was just very simple. I went, I washed, I received sight. That pain became a testimony. It probably became a model. You understand what I mean? Started maybe teaching, maybe started some, I don't know, whatever income generating activities that God birthed out of him. Because one thing I should tell you, God can never be mocked. He never loses a battle. Never. You can mock a child of God. You can laugh out your brains. But at the end of the day, when God decides to take Joseph out of prison, when God decided to exalt humble David, and so many others, Nelson came from prison 27 years and became a president. That's what God does. You could think he was gone. He was probably mocked, laughed at, called stupid, everything. But it was from there, in that small cell, from there, straight to the most important man in the country. I mean, how? Is it fair? So, your struggle will become a story I want you to be encouraged. Even when you woke up in the morning feeling the way you're feeling, your struggle is going to be the testimony. When that blind man recovered something, whether it was a seer's anointing or whatever it is that he discovered from the process, he recovered his joy. Transformation always turns pain into purpose and purpose into testimony. And before you know it, you are a joyful person because now you're living in who you are called to be. And what I want you to do this week, I want you to stop defining yourself by what you've been going through. Okay? Hope you can see it. Stop defining yourself by what you've been going through. Start recognizing what God is building through you, through this transformation process. Now, identify that one particular area in your life where you have experienced growth, healing, or change. Write down your testimony and keep it there. Write down at every step, write down your testimony at every step. Because that's exactly what's going to encourage you to move to next, to move to next, to move to next. Your pain is not the end of your story. Transformation turns pain into purpose and purpose into testimony. You lost a lot on the journey to discovering your purpose. Yeah, you lose a lot. And that's a good thing because then it cannot go with you. Imagine if you have to drag all that to where you're going. It's going to break you because it's not putting in the work the way you have. Imagine if you drag along people that you're not supposed to go with. They're going to pull you down back to the level where they are at. You have put in the work. They have not. So please focus so that you do exactly what you're called to do. Therefore, who you are called to, your tribe. So you can't keep dragging what is not supposed to go with you. If something has to be released, release it. Release it. And you will be a happy person. Okay. So now that you have understood, why don't we meet tomorrow? Why don't we meet tomorrow? I hope this has energized you. I hope this has taken away the emotions you're feeling when you woke up this morning. I hope this has added value to you. And like I always say, be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and take dominion in that sphere of leadership where you have been anointed. Do not give up. Do not allow anything to steal your joy. It can be lost for just a moment, like this morning when you felt like that, but revive, energize, always. There's something in you that brings back to life that joy, pumps it back. Hold on to it and pray, of course. Okay? So, anybody has anything to say? Otherwise, this is where our live ends. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for being patient until the end. Thank you for being very participatory as always. And see you tomorrow. Like Casey says, shalom, shalom.